it is the Southern Belle from Hell here, and welcome to my channel if you are new here, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for hopping back in. If you have been paying attention for the last month or so, we have a new pack coming out, Enchanted by Nature, and currently there is a challenge going on within the Sims community. I believe it is an official challenge by the Sim creators, and it is basically building a garden in whatever way you want to, and submitting a image or snapshot, whatever, of it on the Sims 4 Discord. So I tried my hand at it, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. Of course, I was inspired by Pinterest. Pinterest has me. But before I get any further into this build and everything that it entails, we have a quick word from our sponsor. Thank you so much to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video today. If you are not aware, Instant Gaming has thousands of deals on not just The Sims, but any game you want. And right now you can get 25% off of the brand new pack. You can even pre-order it and get all of the little bits and bobs that comes with the pre-order kit. I mean, it is legit. It is so easy to use. Just use my link down below and make you a profile if you don't have one already, and think of me for my next purchase. I get a little bit of a commission, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. Also, there is a giveaway going on this month. So if you use another link below, you can pick any game of your choosing if you are the winner. So make sure to use that link as well. And with that being said, let's get back into the video. So I am in the world of Tumblr for this Discord garden challenge, and I just decided that it was a perfect place to kind of execute my idea of this very whimsical, very tropical, Asian-inspired friendship garden. And as you can see by the picture that just popped up in the corner, this is my inspiration. I thought it was the most beautiful garden, even though, it's AI generated. It's so cool to bring it to life in The Sims. So I do use the tool mod throughout this entire friggin' build, just to place the rocks and place the plants and have everything looking as close to the picture as I could possibly get. Now, almost everything I use for this build is from the Snowy Escape expansion pack. I almost said kit. No, it's an expansion pack. And it just seemed to fit better than the For Rent expansion pack, because in Tumblr we have so much of a tropical look. And even though this is like an Asian inspired town, it's an Asian inspired build, I felt like the whole friendship garden thing looked a little bit closer to Snowy Escape. I just didn't want to build in the world of Mount Kohlrabi, because I did want to have lush greenery. I wanted to, make it look like it was a little bit more out in the wild and not necessarily like a snow-covered garden, you know what I mean? So what I'm doing now is I'm using this waterfall that we got, and I'm just manipulating it with the tool mod to give the full waterfall effect coming from this little pool. Now, this little pool that is up at the top, it is from the Get Famous expansion pack, and it's really just supposed to be for looks and all, but I thought it would be perfect to have this little natural spring before we get into this waterfall. And the rocks looked perfect, the greenery, the shrubbery around it looked just wonderful. Now, these cascading rocks, this is from the Riviera Retreat kit, and after I played with them, I used a ton of them. I just felt like it looked so good with this little pool that we got. And I use all the rocks and the boulders mainly from Snowy Escape. Now, these that have a little bit more greenery on top, this is from the Werewolf pack. I don't know, was that an expansion pack or was that a game pack? I'm not entirely sure. I'm so confused at this point. Anywho, these, I just felt like it kind of added a little bit more natural elements to this waterfall. I wanted to still keep it looking kind of green and lush and just kind of like fit in with this lot that I'm building on, even though this is like really green grass on top of these rocks. But I try to make it blend in with the plants and everything that I'm gonna put down. So as you can see, I am fiddling a lot with the tool mod, and it does take some time, but like if you aren't well versed with the tool mod, it's not very hard. It just takes some fiddling with, and moving these objects around. And I do struggle when it comes to rotating objects like I did with the waterfall, because there are some objects that just don't want to rotate and they'll just completely disappear. Thankfully, the waterfall did not. Now we do have some waterfalls that you don't have to manipulate or anything, and that comes with Discover University and Island Living, but they're huge, and even if you size them down, the effects are off. The waterfall effect is still going to be that big, you just won't have like as big of an area, and I really didn't like the way that looked. I didn't like the way it turned out. But anywho, I have this lot saved in the gallery as just like a residential, because I didn't want you guys to like download it and it be like listed as a park, because when you build a park, you have to put things like a chess table down, you have to put a bathroom down. And for this type of like garden situation, I didn't want to put any of that stuff down. I felt like that would take away from this natural garden lot that I have going here. So now what I am doing is I am using like basically the same boulders, and I am using that to kind of go around this lifted area. And it looks a little wonky on the map, but I felt like it looked perfect to kind of just encase this little square we have going on here. Make it look a little bit more natural, that it's being lifted up from the ground instead of just, a raised up green plot that we have. Now I do place down a bunch of like random things. Like I have a couple of things down from Island Living that I was thinking about using. I end up like doing away with it because I thought it looked cool, but it looked a little bit too tropical. If I was doing more of a Tomarang-esque build, it would probably fit in better, but with this friendship garden, it just looked a little bit too islandy, I guess I should say. But anywho, we are almost done with putting these extra boulders down. I'm just trying to make sure that I encase everything and that it looks as natural as possible. I'm sorry if I jump around the screen a lot. I'm trying to make sure that all the parts of this boulder is in the ground and there's no spots that are like lifted in some weird angle. So with these objects from the Island Living, I played with it for a little bit, but I decided against it, and now I am moving on to the Snowy Escape debug menu items, and I use so many things from the Snowy Escape debug menu. It just fit in so perfectly. These lights, I believe I got from City Living, but these little sculptures like with the monkey and with the altar, that's all from Snowy Escape, and it fit in so perfectly with this aesthetic I was going for. And I noticed in the picture, it has like a little sculpture that is popping up out of the water. There's a couple. And so I put a few down. Now when it comes to the trees, I put these trees down with like the real vibrant red leaves, but then I decide against it. I end up finding these trees that are more pink, and it reminded me more of Japanese cherry blossoms. So I end up doing away with that. I do a lot of like putting objects down, seeing how it looks, playing with it, seeing if I can make it work, and then finally just deciding against it. But right now I'm trying to place like this little like temple decoration into this water, and make it look like it's a part of this little little pond we got going on here. I put around some vines, and I sprinkle around a ton of greenery, and it looked perfect with this world of Tomarang, because Tomarang, I'm not really sure which world it is inspired by, like in real life. I kind of think of the Philippines a little bit, maybe Korea, Taiwan. Not 100% sure exactly where. If you guys know, please comment down below. But I'm trying to kind of like mix and match a blend of Chinese culture as well as something a little bit more jungle-y, because we kind of have this tropical surrounding all around us with, you know, the world of Tomarang. So I feel like it kind of married really well together, even though like these styles are slightly different. And now what I am doing, because I really wanted to have like jutting stone steps going up from this little bridge all the way to this altar. And this is not my idea. I cannot take credit for it. I saw Jessica Pie YT. I don't know why I just said Jessica Pie YT, but her YouTube is Jessica Pie. Her EAID is Jessica Pie YT. And she used these stone steps when she was doing a hobbit hole build. And she kind of moved these steps around from like the front of the hobbit hole all the way like to the backyard. And it's not functional as steps, no, but it looks the part. Like it looks so perfect. And I did play test this lot. Many of these things that I put down, like its uses aren't functional, but your sim can still like move around this lot fairly easily. It is great for pictures, like maybe even possibly like a wedding venue. There may be some things like these steps that you'd have to move, or like the altar if you want to get married underneath this, you know, little space that's up top. But yeah, this has been like probably one of my most different builds, and it didn't take me long. I was just so immersed in wanting to recreate this image from Pinterest. I wasn't really sure if I was going to participate in this challenge because I had so many different things going on, but I was like, you know what, this could be fun. So I started looking at different images on Pinterest, and when I found this, I went, oh my God, this is gorgeous. And I've been doing so many like house builds that, you know, had really like cottage core garden feels, and I'm like, this could definitely take me out of my comfort zone. And I try to push myself out of my comfort zone like all the time, because I feel like that helps me be a better builder. But moving over, now I found these pink trees and I wasn't sure which ones to use. So I just kind of like take them all out and try them out for size. And finally, I decide on 2 of them that I just thought were so beautiful and just fit in a lot better with this type of lot. Now, when it comes to like shading the grass around this lot, I just use this swatch that came from Outdoor Retreat. Instead of making it look really muddy, I wanted to make it look more like a an empty like forest bed, you know, like not full of dirt, but kind of like a mix of sand. So this swatch to me felt just a little bit more perfect with this kind of environment. Now these flowers that we got, and I know we got some from Life and Death, but I want to say they started popping up with Outdoor Retreat, and they come in 2 different colors, pink and white. So I use a mix of the pink and the white ones all throughout. Most of the flowers I use, they are mainly from the debug menu, because they just seem to look a little bit more natural and a little bit more fitting with this type of environment I'm going for. But in the picture, there is a ton of potted plants. Like we've got our mix of, you know, natural plants that just grow in this kind of environment, but we also have a bunch of potted plants that are just lining this little creek that goes into the pond and the waterfall and all around the altars and the little statues and stuff. So I try to like put a good healthy mix of that and do a lot of calm colors with all of these flowers, a lot of greenery, a lot of shrubbery. And when it comes to like the potted plants, I try to look through the decorations menu for the plants in pots that look natural. Like those pots are not very loud, they're not very extravagant. They can easily like meld with this natural outdoorsy aesthetic. So like these plants that look like they're in clay pots or wicker pots, like that was perfect. And I put so many out. I don't even know how many. I decided to even like put some succulents out there. I'm sure it had to be close to like 50 different plants from all sorts of different packs because I wanted it to look really diverse. I wanted it to look really colorful and basically like the picture. I wanted it to look really full and, you know, every time you look at it, you have something else that catches your eye. So I decided to put like these little benches down, again, just like such a tranquil looking area for you to like settle down in before you explore everything. And then I found this little temple and it looked exactly like one of the little sculptures in the picture. And I was like, that's perfect. And these rain chains, oh my God. I just kept finding things the longer I built. I decided to put a bird feeder down because I'm like, what could make this garden even more peaceful and tranquil? Bringing around the birds, why not, you know? I had so much fun with this build though, guys. It was just really enjoyable. It only took me about 2 hours to build it. I was just into it non-stop. Now, one of the things that I struggled with was lighting this lot. And so I have a lot of debug lights and I had a little bit more lights toward the end, kind of going around the waterfall, but I didn't want to have those lights that, you know, you kind of like put around your flower beds, you know, like a suburban house would have. I wanted to have something that looked a little bit more like homemade, more natural. I can't think of like the right word, but I end up using, I believe it's from Outdoor Retreat or it could be from Little Campers, these lights that come with like this little wooden pole and they're little string lights that connect to each other, and that's in the debug menu. So I had to kind of like finagle with it and make sure that those lines like matched up together. First, I used these lights from Life and Death, but it wasn't lining up exactly the way I wanted it to. And I went, you know what? I think there's some other kinds that I can use that would go just a tad bit better. But guys, we are nearing the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. It means so much to me, your support of my channel. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, have a good one.